everybody, and welcome back to Food for Life this week. As always, I'm your host, Ashley Treseline, and I am the owner of Bella Foodie, which means that I am a personal chef and food educator, among many other things. One of the fun things I get to do is public speaking. I get to share my expertise with people. I get to share my story, which you all pretty familiar with this week. For those of you that don't know, I have MS and mast cell, among the many other things that are wrong with me. I get to share my hard-won expertise with all of you and bring on experts and lovely human beings that get to share what they've learned through their journeys so that it can help you. This week, I am so excited to announce that I will be speaking on a panel with two other lovely ladies, Carrie Taylor and Brittany Alexis, and I am so excited because they're here with me today, guys. So we're going to talk about our panel. We're going to talk about how you can get tickets, although I think I just heard that we are fully sold out, but you can buy tickets online to stream it. So no matter where you are, you can listen to us all talk and share our stories. Now, Carrie is going to join us first, and then Brittany is going to join us after, and then we're going to share about what it's been like to work together, why we all decided to do this, what our panel is about, and all these other fun things. So I'm going to welcome Carrie in right now. Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you doing?
Good. As you're listening to me talk, but she listens to me talk all the time. I appreciate her for that.
Oh, no problem. We all have very interesting stories, so it's enlightening.
So I told everyone a little bit about how you're going to be on the panel with me, but they can see you're a registered dietitian. I always like my guests to tell the audience who they are and what they do in their own words.
Yeah, so as a registered dietitian, I do a little bit more than just talk about food. I like to think that I help empower individuals across their lifespan so that they can truly live the healthiest versions of themselves. And that really comes not only from food and nutrition, it also comes through with sports medicine. So my background's in sports medicine as well, in yoga, meditation, going out in nature, for forest bathing for that part of my training. So really talking about living the best that they can and teaching them how to get there.
And that's what we have in common, and probably one of the reasons we were put on the panel together about helping people live their best, healthiest life. Now, one of the things you just said, I had to ask you about it because I wasn't quite sure what forest bathing is. Why don't you explain to everyone what that is?
Sure. So I'm trained from Kripalu as a mindful outdoor guide, and that really is their version of forest bathing. And what we're trained to do is work with groups of people or one-on-one to create an experience that's more meditative than hiking, and really walking slowly, taking in the whole environment and taking time to just sit and really become one with where you are. And when we do that, I learned through my training is the forest becomes alive again. So they hear humans coming and everything kind of scatters, but sitting there over an extended period of time, the birds come back, animals come back, and really just being connected to the earth and to the more than human world.
And that's such an important thing to do because we forget that nature can be so healing to us. I mean, let's talk about last week. Last week was so crazy with the eclipse and the energy around us. Now, what did you feel in that time? Like, how does that affect animals, humans?
Yeah, for my experience, some people look at eclipse as a time of kind of hunkering down, being inside, and really having some sort of ritual about things changing, the past coming in with the present and your future. And for me and one of my good friends, we chose to do the complete opposite and hike to a peak at a local mountain and just be completely saturated under the change that was happening. And when it did, even though it wasn't 100% here in our region, when it hit its maximum point, It was very surreal to all of a sudden feel for me little pricklies in my hand. So I could feel an energetic shift. And then we were doing a time lapse video when we did it, and you can see all the different changes I did. Like here, my hands up, another one, my hands are down on my lap in a meditative state. At the end, my hands are on my heart, and I have this huge smile. So there definitely was a shift of energy, and I really love the fact that we took the day off to do that.
I think that's so beautiful. And I think sometimes whether you're someone that feels the energy around you or feels these changes, I think it's important to take the time to enjoy nature. And I think that's a beautiful thing you do for people. Now, what made you want to be a dietitian and help educate people through food and sports medicine? They kind of go hand in hand, right?
They do. And the reason why I studied both was because that's what led me to nutrition. Was I became an athlete later in my childhood and learned just firsthand that when I ate like a super large fast food meal at lunch, I could not actually perform well and run as fast on the field. And so that made me curious. So I wanted to learn why and learn why what I ate actually made me perform a certain way and how I could feel my best and the role that nutrition had and proper training had in making that happen. So I shifted majors and went from biology and political science to two topics that were near and dear to me so I could have fun when I was learning.
That's amazing. It's so nice to know that you really love what you did. Now, how old were you when you started to realize that everything was so affected by what we eat and how we are?
I was probably 15. I think it was my second year of playing field hockey. And it was also the first time I realized I was fast. And so noticing that I couldn't be as fast as I wanted to, depending on what I ate, was a driving force of just curiosity to figure out how to make a solution out of what I was experiencing. And I decided to switch majors when I was 19 and switch colleges. And I knew right off the bat I wanted to do both. In hindsight, it would have been really awesome if someone said, do a graduate program for one of them instead of spending the same amount of time for two undergrads focuses and concentrations. But I still learned a lot of information. I actually took my sports medicine background. It was more pre-med. So I took a lot of science classes to prepare in case I wanted to go on to medicine or even nursing.
That's awesome. I mean, sports medicine is things that we can even apply to the movement in our everyday life, not just like a highly trained athlete, right?
Right. Yeah, and it helps too as a mother to see. When I used to do more group speaking, I could see the energy lull. And so regardless of how old my population was that I was talking to or the group, I would have them stop and we would do stretching breaks. And it's always funny to watch adults because they feel so awkward when they've been sitting in like a conference room. I'm like, all right, everyone up, bring your hands up overhead, wiggle it out. Like just knowing the importance of releasing that energy because of being connected to my own body and learning that and then learning why I felt that way has always been weaved in regardless of who I was talking to and where. Had nothing to do with becoming, even though I went to school for sports nutrition, it wasn't really a focus of, okay, I want to be a dietitian with a professional team.
Now, let's talk about a little bit about what you do in your day-to-day life. So what is it like every day in your job, in your work?
Yeah, so I work as a retail dietitian at our support center versus in store. And so at this point, we're going on 19 years of me in my role, and it's kind of shifted throughout the years, but I'm really the dietitian on our team that's the lead for wellness communications. And what that means is I'm the one who writes the content for our employer's website. I do media with my counterpart. Whenever we do media, we write it ourselves. So whether we're doing a live interview on the news or we're doing a commercial, prepping for that. And really helping our customers find solutions to what they're looking for while empowering them with evidence-based information, because it can get super, as you know, confusing when you're looking at social media or you're looking at websites or just even the news to understand what's being said and why sometimes it contradicts itself from one year to the next.
And I mean, it's okay for everyone to have different opinions. We respect everyone's opinions, but it's confusing. Social media does have a lot of wrong information about things. And it's helpful to know that there's someone that is a source for this, that is trusted, not only saying she's a dietitian and trusted by the letters behind her name, but she's also trusted by a big institution.
And we've really been supported well since I work for a family-owned retailer by the family, by the management throughout the years of understanding. I was hired as a registered dietitian that happened to work for a company that sells food, and we sell food, so the messaging as a registered dietitian has to be promoting all of the products that are sold there. And that has never wavered, and that's really empowering for the customers as well to know that what we're saying isn't changing just because of who we work for, that this is the information I would give you even if I was in private practice and not employed by a retailer.
Well, there you have it, everybody. You hear her saying that she believes everything she says, even from what she puts on the retailer thing, and it's not driven by the retailer. Carrie gets to make those choices, which is so cool. Speaking of, I can tell you guys I do shop in their stores. I can tell you, I bought this the other day there, which is
Very
one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do shop. There's one right around the corner from my house, which is very convenient. Now, what motivates you? What keeps you going? I mean, 19 years doing this job, among other things, and then now you're teach yoga for the past few years, and among so many other amazing things. What keeps going? Because people get what we think is healthy changes, and the information changes all the time. Because it's hard.
I think what's been at the center of me personally and why I took the path that I did was the curiosity for truth. And it was really interesting during my yoga teacher training of realizing the term satya, which means truth. And my focus has always been nourishing truth, whether it's truth in the sense of understanding the sound bites that we hear in the media, if it's truth about the foods that really are the most important for your body to metabolize, or the truth in yourself and understanding, you know, what really works for you versus what you think you should be doing and what you may see friends and family doing, whether or not that speaks to your truth or not, and helping people find their own truth, I think keeps me motivated. And it wasn't until recently that I understood that nourishing of satya, or nourishing of truth really is my driving force.
Is there something other than the yoga training that made you think of that, or was there something that happened that made you think of that?
Well, you know, when I was 21, I learned very quickly that I couldn't learn just about nutrition and the body. I had to learn about the mind too, and the soul. And so mind, body, soul has always been part of my philosophy, that as a whole human, it's much more than what we see. It's what we feel and know. And so I think what happened was the yoga teacher training just reinforced that. And knowing that feeling you have in your gut, that intuition, it never lies. You know, it can get tricky to figure out, is it fear waking up or is it intuition? But when you have this eerie sense like this doesn't work for me, that's the truth. And so I think that for me is the driving force of like, let me empower you with these tools so you can make your own decisions regardless of what you think is the right answer or what you think I want to hear, because you feel it in your body that this is truth, instead of just acting out of anxiousness or confusion, and just slowing down and saying, okay, what works for me? What's my truth?
And that's something that all three of us, you, me, and Brittany, have in common, that we want people to get to what is their truth, what is their healthy, what works for them by knowing themselves.
Right. Yeah. And I think it can be super hard. And I'm sure, as you've experienced, when you get diagnosed with something and you're not quite sure where to go for resources. And, I think sometimes people give this assumption that registered dietitians are trained a certain way and they only look at things a certain way. And that's just not true.
I've dealt with so many different people, and I've realized that, not everyone's trained in certain diseases or certain things, and it's really hard for them. And it's hard for them to get that knowledge. Oh, I think we lost Carrie there for a second. Oh no, technical difficulties. That's okay. You all know this happens. You know that we have tech problems sometimes. I do not know what happened. She may have lost her connection, but I'm going to go to a break and then we will see what we can do, and hopefully she will be back with us in just a second.
I'm Gary.
And I'm Gina.
And we're the hosts on Fire and Light Talk. So join us every Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Positive Vibrations right here on E360 TV.
Oh no, we have lost Carrie for a little bit, so we are going to wait till she comes back. And she is now texting me, so apparently we have lost her for good. Okay, so she will come back in a few minutes, but in the meantime, I want to share with you guys, you know how we had Meg Gerber on a few weeks ago, and she is a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine, and we were talking about her company right here with the bitters. Yes. Oh, wait, no. Why can I not do this right? Anyways, these are the bitters right here that I've been talking about, and about how it supports my digestion. So I remember that I keep sharing with you guys that we have a special code for our Food for Life family. And because of that, I'm going to share that with you and keep that on screen. With that being said, it is definitely mocktail time. Technical difficulties require mocktails or cocktails, depending on who you are. But for me, it's a mocktail. I have pomegranate juice. I have a few drops of the bitters in here because my digestion has been way off this week. I ate something that did not agree with me, the joys of trying new foods with your mast cell. And now we're going to put in my favorite sparkling water, the Saratoga. I like the Pellegrino, but the Saratoga, it just has a certain amount of fizz. And voila, mocktail in my cute little friend's glasses that I love. So make sure you check it out. Go on the website. Totally cool. All right. I think we have Carrie back. Yes, I can see her. She is back. Hi, you're back. We lost you for a second.
I could hear you just fine. So I'm not sure what was happening. But hi, thank you. Thank you for taking a mocktail break as I got resituated.
Well, I feel like sunshine. It's, the middle of the week. Mocktail, cocktail time, whatever works for you, right?
Right. Now, when everything happened with technical difficulties, we were talking about how even in your experience, learning that not everyone has experience in certain diagnoses or even certain disease states. And that's super important as a practitioner. Like for me as a registered dietitian, I would be first and foremost upfront and transparent and say, this isn't my specialty. Like I would like to refer you to a registered dietitian that has that as a specialty, because especially working with all customers in a supermarket situation, we're more generalist. Even if those were my focus for training, we're generalists. So it's important. And hopefully you have practitioners like that said, you know what, I'm limited because I don't have experience with this. Let's connect you with someone who does.
Well, I have some good doctors and practitioners in my life now, but for a long time over the years, I didn't. And it was really hard. I got referred to people over and over again, and they just didn't know what to do with me. And they pretended they did, or they tried to find out what to do. And I'm like, you have no idea what's going on. I seem to know more about this than you do. And this is not working. And that scares me. So thank you, but no thank you.
Right. And that's true. Like people who live, I think of living gluten-free because you have celiac disease. You are going to eventually know way more than most practitioners if those practitioners do not have celiac disease, and if they're not specializing in that, if they're just, that's part of the population they tend to work with here and there. So it can be super frustrating. So my recommendation would be to truly go evidence-based first. And I learned that as a student because I went into nutrition with such a, a consumer love and passion for it. So once I started learning the science behind certain topics, sometimes it would just kind of burst my bubble. I'd be like, oh, there's no science to back up what a lot of people assume, and oh, this is what the research actually shows. So I think that's, for me, the aha moment to provide that for individuals and see it happen in real life. That's very reinforcing for what I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm always a proponent of people saying, you need to know your body and you need to be educated about your disease or illness or whatever is going on with you, because you may not find a doctor that just doesn't know enough about what's wrong with you, or they haven't treated enough people like you. And, I've been living with MS my entire adult life. I know a lot more than some doctors I've come across because they just don't treat it. They just know the general basics of what they were taught maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, and they don't really come across it very often.
Right. And when it comes to nutrition, there is a reason why registered dietitians are part of the healthcare team. And that's because nutrition doesn't get taught to a lot of other healthcare providers, or it's just one class. So
I'm really happy that my college has now made a new health science building for the next generation, and it's all about incorporating holistic practices along with the medical and getting everybody involved in treating the whole patient, which I find to be so beautiful. And I can't wait to be able to talk to those students about my experience. So hopefully the next generation of medical professionals we have coming out is a little more kinder and gentler, better bedside manner than we've had.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a journey because there's, that's a whole other podcast. We can talk about the healthcare system.
That's a whole other story. We could be talking about that for a while. Carrie, thank you so much. She's going to join us a little later, and her and Britt will do final thoughts together.
Sounds good.
I would like to say goodbye to Carrie now.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So our next guest and my other fellow panelist is Brittany Alexis. She has a cool program that she does every year called Soul Revival. She is a trainer and health coach, and she's just an all-around really cool human being. So we are going to welcome her in. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Now, why don't you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Brittany. I am the owner and face behind Soul Nutrition. This is a brand that I started back during COVID. I started out as a nutrition coach. I took a certification and I very quickly learned that there was much more that I wanted to coach women specifically on. So now I teach women how to prioritize their physical, mental, and spiritual health in order to live more aligned with the woman that they want to be, or that they are, looking to be. And more recently, I've kind of transitioned to creating these soul experiences where I provide an experience for women to initiate and inspire that change within them. Because I think so often, as women, we can get lost in these roles that we play, whether it is being a mother, being an employee, whatever those labels and those, titles that are put on you, you can get lost in them. So just kind of allowing them the space and the time to set aside and let them take a minute to figure out what it is that they want. And also being able to introduce them to other people, wellness coaches, other people that have helped me on my personal journey, and just introduce them so that they can help them as well.
So what pushed you to create a program like that? I mean, I know you do a lot of really cool things, and I mean, you've learned so many things over the year, but why a program like this as opposed to your normal one-on-one kind of coaching programs that you do?
That's a great question. I think the biggest part of it is the energy that's created when you have a group full or a room full of women that support each other, have the same visions, values, want the same things, maybe not specifically the same things, but just generally want to be a better version of themselves. The energy that's created, it's just unmatched. And I think the minute I felt that was probably the first time in my life where I was like, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Like, this is what I am here to do. And I want to do more of it. However I can, I'm just going to do more of it. And I've done this program 2 years in a row now. And the first year we called it Soul Reset. And then this past year it was called Soul Revival. And it's honestly just been inspired by my own personal journey, things that I've gone through and things that I've had to work through. And again, just wanting to share that with women, because if you've ever been in that place of fear, or you don't know where to go or who to turn to or how to change your life, I want to be able to be that connecting piece to be like, here, this is what helped me. Maybe this can help you. Maybe it won't help you, but maybe there are other connections that will get you to where you need to be. Just basically don't give up on yourself. I really want to inspire women to not give up on themselves. And you have every opportunity to live that version of you that you want to live.
So you've done this to help women, and I love that. I love that you have a program that shows people, like, if you need this, these are the kind of people you should be talking to, or maybe you can connect with a new friend that's going through the same thing as you, which I love that connection and environment that you want to create for people and that you do create. Because I think as women, we have a tendency to get more competitive with each other, or we don't want to share those things with each other because of fear of failure or fear of looking a certain way, or whatever it is that goes through our heads, because everyone has their own different story they tell themselves. What are some of the things that inspired you to be on the path that you're on? Like, what are some of the things that have happened in your life that said, okay, now's the time for me to help other people because I've been through this?
Yeah, that's definitely a loaded question, but there have just been a lot of different experiences in my life from childhood. I think now, as an adult, reflecting back, that I've gone through and that I've worked through. I grew up in a unhealthy household with unhealthy parents, navigating that through your teen years. I had a daughter very young when I was 20 years old. I've been a single mom for the last 15 years. So navigating that, I can, really relate to women that are going through that. In 2013, I lost my brother to suicide. Helping, mental health has always been such a pillar, like something that I will always promote and, be an advocate for. And ever since losing him, it's a soul mission now to just let people know that they are not alone. And I will always be there to support, help, guide, talk to you, whatever it is that you may need.
I'm sorry that you lost your brother in that way.
Thank you. Something really cool, this is a little sidebar, but I came across this challenge for, I follow the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I came across this challenge for March, and it was walk 50 miles with your dog for the month of March to raise awareness for suicide prevention. So that was something really cool that I immediately signed up for, because I am hiking with my dogs in the woods all the time. I'm constantly walking with them. So I was like, absolutely, like this is 100% something for me. But what I really didn't expect was how much it helped me feel close to him. It was like this intentional time that I would set aside in my day. And because it was intentional, because it had a purpose, those walks, they were spent remembering him and thinking about things that we, times that we spent together. So that was just something that I was like, wow, like this, obviously I was doing it in his honor, but just what it did for my heart and my soul was something I wasn't expecting. So
that's beautiful. And it was obviously happy memories, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Did you make your 50 miles?
Yeah, I did. It's funny because I was actually leaving for a vacation at the end of the month, like 2 days before the month ended. So I had to finish a little early. So the night before my vacation, I hadn't even finished packing. It was raining. I'm like, I have 2.5 miles left. I have to do it. So me and my dogs, we geared up, put on our rain gear, and had our muddy 2-mile walk, and we finished. So
I'm not sure what your house looked like after that with 2 muddy dogs in it.
Yeah, I actually had to call home, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm coming in through the garage. Can you just have some towels ready? We're going to wipe the dogs down. And yeah, they were a mess.
Oh,
but it's fine.
You must have needed a serious bath.
Yeah.
That's so nice, though. And not only did you get quality time in nature, but you got quality time with your brother almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like that mental quietness for a little bit, right? It's like intentional time to just no phone, you're disconnected, you're not talking to people. I was by myself for a majority of it. My daughter joined me, my boyfriend joined me for some of them, but for a majority of those miles, it was, kind of like Carrie was saying, I was just connecting with myself, with nature, with my thoughts, it was very peaceful, very therapeutic.
I always find walking by myself is a good way to clear my head. Like that's one of those activities you can do on your own. You can be on your own. You can enjoy the surroundings. And well, I'm always a proponent of anything you do with your dogs.
Yeah, right. Me too.
Especially yours. They're very adorable because you post pictures of them all the time.
Thank you. They are very cute and they're fun and they love it. So
let's talk a little bit more about fitness. Now, you have started training and you started like lifting weights and things, and that's been a bit of a journey for you.
Yes. So I've always been active and athletic. I played sports throughout, my childhood, high school. I've danced since I was 3 years old. I'm actually still part of the same studio that I started dancing at when I was 3. But my actual like fitness journey started, I want to say it was probably like 2017. My brother and sister-in-law had started CrossFit, and they kept saying, they're like, Brittany, you got to come to one of these classes. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be jacked. I don't want to be like, whatever. And they're like, I promise you, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. And so finally I gave in and I absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, for me, someone who is just like, I always had a lot of energy growing up. I loved like gymnastics and soccer. it's like adult gym class. That's literally how I felt about it. I was like, this is literally adult gym class. Like I'm swinging from bars, I'm jumping rope, I'm throwing things around. So yeah, I fell in love with it. And it also became a mental outlet for me. So things that I was going through, I realized that if I went to the gym, I felt so much better afterwards. My problems weren't erased, but I was able to handle them in a better way. So that was, something that I learned very quickly, that this is good for me. This is a positive way for me to work through whatever it may be that I'm working through. Because I think we all know that there are a variety of buffering behaviors that we can fall victim to when we're going through something difficult, whether it's, overeating, food, right? Food, alcohol, the list can go on. So identifying
for the rest of the hour if we went through the list, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So just identifying that was something healthy for me and something that I knew that I needed for whatever I was going through at the time, that kind of became a solid foundation in my healing journey. And then that being said, as I started working out, my body started quickly like transforming. I was building muscle. I was getting attention at the gym for it from women specifically. They were coming up to me and they're like, how, what are you eating? What are you doing? Like, how can you tell me what your training looks like? And I think that kind of inspired me getting that nutrition certification, because all I could do at that time was tell them what I was doing, right? I could tell them, this is what I'm eating. This is how many days I'm working out. That doesn't mean it's going to work for them. Do you know what I mean? Like if I tell you what my routine is, it doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. You have your own body, your own things going on. So learning that very quickly, I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to help people that aren't necessarily like me, and then that's when I also was like, there's so much more to this. Like, just because I look healthy, like I look like I'm in shape or whatever that, box is that you want to put me in, I am like, there's a lot going on up here that I'm trying to keep under control. So that's kind of where the whole concept of soul nutrition came into play. And it's really this synergy of mind, body, and soul health, and teaching women how to find that synergy by prioritizing those 3 pillars. Because I think when you do prioritize them, you find a sweet spot. That's what I like to call it, right? This sweet spot. And that's where you want to live. That's where you feel the freest version of yourself, the happiest, the highest. You have energy. You show up as a better version of yourself. And just learning how to live in that place is really my mission. And helping teach women how to find that place is my mission.
What I find very unique between the 3 of us, you, me, and Carrie, is that these are principles that we all teach in our own way to our clients, to social media, to how we want people to live. We do it in a different way a little bit, but the reason that we keep bringing up the mind, body, soul is when we start talking about the panel in a little while, you guys pay attention to that. We're going to let you in on a little secret about that. But it's something that unifies all 3 of us. And I think more people need to start paying attention to the whole human being.
100%. Yeah.
Like you said, you can't fix one part of you. You're healthy on the outside, but the inside's driving you crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, and I say it all the time, it's like you can appear to be the healthiest, fittest person in the room, but if you're not dealing with what's going on in your head and your heart, you're not healthy. That's my opinion. You can't call yourself a healthy human being. And in today's fitness culture, social media, all of that, it can be so toxic, honestly. Originally when I first started nutrition coaching, I was teaching people how to count their macros, and, basically it was just like restricting because they wanted to lose weight, but they're, doing these crazy workouts just so they can eat a burrito or a donut. And I'm like, this is an eating disorder. Like, this is not healthy. So I definitely have, like I said, shifted away from the nutrition coaching like on its own, because I didn't like what people wanted from me, if that makes sense. They just wanted they wanted a quick fix most of the time. Women were coming to me and they're like, I want to lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks. And I'm like, all right, well, first of all, that's not going to happen. So yeah. And it's not sustainable. So I just wanted to teach them how to just overall be happier. And if you are paying attention to what's going on in your head and your heart, you're going to be able to sustain that weight loss that you achieve. It's not going to be so up and down. You can kind of like level things out and just live happily.
I always tell people, I mean, I know that you and Carrie agree with me that diets aren't a forever thing.
Mm-mm.
They are to help you maybe either start a fitness journey, or maybe there's some reason you need to change your diet that's medical. But I never tell people, I'm like, the only way you're going to maintain it is to make lifestyle changes, like to change little things in your life. It doesn't mean depriving yourself, but it also means like, eating a Burger King every day is just not going to do it for you.
Right. There's discipline that needs to come into play. There's a lot of being honest with yourself, right? That's a huge thing where, a lot of my clients are like, I just don't know what's going on. Like, why am I not losing weight? I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing on Friday nights? And they're going out and they're drinking, and and then they're on Monday, they're stepping on the scale, and it's just this whole toxic cycle. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe you need to be honest with yourself and look at your circle. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you spending your time with? Is it aligned with the goals that you have, with what you're asking me to help you with? Because if it's not aligned, that's where the change needs to start, right? You can't hang out with these people who, yeah, you might love them. They might be your friends forever and your family. But if the things that you do when you're with them are not aligned with where you want to go, then it's not working for you. And you have to make that decision for yourself and be honest with yourself about that. So there's a lot of that.
Balance in life, and you want to go out for a friend's birthday, sure, every once in a while, go out, have fun, eat the cake, drink the wine.
Absolutely.
But, make sure that you're not going a whole week without eating vegetables or something. Like, let's not do that.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, that's where you have to sit back and have that reflection and be honest with yourself, and have the courage to be honest with yourself. Okay, well, what are my actions? And that's really hard, just personally coming from someone who sat with a lot of things and was like, okay, how did I get here? What was my responsibility in this journey of where I am right now? And how can I move forward in a different way so that I'm not here again?
Okay, so I'm going to bust Britt just a little, not in a bad way, but to show that about balance and eating right, and being able to enjoy things. Because I always talk about how I have my dark chocolate fix in the fridge, but it's healthy and vegan dark chocolate. It's healthy as chocolate can be, let's put it that way. And I only have a little bit here and there because it's like a little treat. But the first time I met her, we all had, some drink and food together, and Britt had a nice salad with her dressing on the side, and, got rid of the things she didn't want, but she also drank a big martini right in front of me, which is totally cool with me. She found her, oh yes, that's right. That's not the part. The balance in her life. And that's amazing to me, because that shows that she teaches what she preaches.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to I didn't think that was a horrible thing. Please tell me.
No, it's not. That's so funny too, because when I tell the story of how the three of us met, I absolutely include that part because I just think about the waitress coming over and being like, "Can I get you ladies some drinks?" And you guys were like, "I'm all set. Water's fine." I'm like, "I'll take a dirty martini. I'll take one for the team here, okay?"
Well, medically, I can't drink yet, so I can't drink even if I wanted to, which I do miss every occasionally. I just want the option to, I guess, is my thing. Like, I'm not a big drinker. I just want the option.
Yeah.
Like, you told me so many things in my life. Just give me back my options at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just invite me. I might say no, but still at least invite me, right?
Yeah, at least give me the feeling like I can still do things like a grown-ass woman. Oh, and even I do something that I wasn't supposed to. All right, let's welcome Carrie back in and talk about our panel on that very fun note. All right, Carrie, thank you for joining us.
Hello. No, it's fun sitting back and listening.
Oh, boy.
So thank you.
I always wonder what guests think when they sit back and listen to the other portions of the show.
I hope we were as entertaining as you guys were. So.
Oh, we were entertaining. That's good to know. Yes, I think it's helpful to learn more about each of you. And Brittany, I know we met when you were working on your goal for March, and to learn a little bit about the history and listening to you talk about the both of you about the power of nature. I think a lot of individuals forget that as humans, that was our home. We're built to be there. There's a reason why when we're outside, we feel settled, and why we feel after walking through a living forest that we truly are in our element, and we can kind of think things through. So listening to you both in that part of the discussion was just reinforcing.
I actually think that we need to do that. We like the three of us need to link up and go on like a little nature adventure.
That sounds wonderful. That is something to think about for the future now that it's getting nice and there was sunshine today.
Yes.
So I want to talk to you both about, we are on the panel and I showed everyone our cute little graphic that they made for us. Let me see.
So cute.
Now. There we go. And we're all excited to be together. And I know some people that are doing it and they barely talk to their groups. And we have a group text going and we talk all the time and share other things. And I think that's so lovely, which I think is going to bring a unique energy to our panel. Now, which one of you wants to share our panel title and what we're doing?
Oh, gosh, Ashley. Well, it's in our graphic. So I was going to say that makes it easy. And Daisy, my dog, is squeezing a toy now that I laughed.
Okay, so there's the name. It's the fuel, the power within.
Yeah.
And let's go back to talking about the mind, body, soul, spirit connection. So which parts of that talk are we going to start with? I believe I start our talk, right? With the mind. So I have the mind aspect of all this. And we're going to be talking about it in 3 parts, and each of us has a part to do. So who goes next?
Yeah, so I am body. So I'm the second piece. And really what we've created for everyone is walking them through a journey, a health journey. And now everyone's journey is going to look different. So this is basically an example, I guess, that we're trying to create what it would look like. And starting off with, awareness, and then transitioning over into what happens to your body when you start feeding yourself differently, when you start exercising regularly, and then again, how that will translate into your soul when you physically feel better. What does that do for your confidence, your mindset, how you talk to yourself, how you feel about yourself, and how you show up in the world now? And then that, Carrie will take us on that part of the journey.
Yeah, I think the fun part of us, without knowing any of the other panels, is looking at a way of creating an experience at a women's conference that isn't simply a lecture. And really engaging with the attendees of our session and have them actively feel that energy of reflection and kind of look at what we're presenting as a gift, but really asking them, okay, how do you take this inward and kind of become self-aware and do an assessment for yourself to see, am I really choosing myself for the healthiest mindset? Am I choosing activities to do that makes my body be thriving and feeling its best so that as I age, I can have the best quality of life? And talking about the soul piece at the end is really what drove me to present, because I want to be able to speak about my belief that if you don't inherently believe you're worthy of love, and especially your own love, because as I've gotten older, learning you're not going to feel that piece of love that you're seeking when you're consistently trying to get it from others. So if you don't believe that you're worthy of that love, how could you ever succeed? Whether it's you're trying to eat a certain way or you're trying to move your body a certain way. So I think it's going to be fun because we all have our own experiences of finding that within ourselves. And our first day, we're like, okay, let's open it with, settling everyone down and having a reading and having propose a question. So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. We've definitely created more of an experience with the panel and more interaction and some takeaways that you can apply to your life almost immediately, and things to think about to help you be a better, happier human being all around, and not just something. To me, I always thought being a better, happier, fitter, healthier, whatever version of healthy you are for yourself type of person makes you better in business, makes you better in relationships, makes you better in everything you do. And I think that's some of the aspects missing when we go to women's conferences. We focus so much on the marketing, the business plan, the finances, and all the other wonderful takeaways we'll get at the conference. But we're just helping you look a little bit more internally to help you present yourself a little better.
Right. Because I do think that when women find that piece, that's when their creative juices start flowing and their uniqueness has the opportunity to shine. And it's like, you are the only you in this world. And when you can find that love for yourself and you can freely express it, you show up so unique and so differently, and you have so much to offer the world as a full expression of yourself.
Yeah.
We only have a few minutes left, and I want to give you guys a chance. Now that we've shared with everyone a little bit about the panel, how happy we are to work together. You can tell we like each other. We have a good time talking together. If I had all the time in the world, we'd keep talking, but you guys know that we don't. Now, I want them to share their final thoughts. Carrie, why don't you go first? You can share whatever it is, whatever's on your mind. You have about 90 seconds.
Okay.
No pressure.
So my final thought is, I actually listened to a podcast today called Man Enough, which I love because I'm the mom of a boy and I love men, even if I believe in feminism and being equal. And their guest on today was a relationship coach, and he was explaining that until you feel safe in any relationship, you truly can't turn yourself on. So what you were just saying, Brittany, is like, if you don't feel safe, you're not going to be able to grow and to reach the potential of why you're here. And that safety needs to come within yourself first. And it can be super frustrating if you realize that, but no one else around you realizes that for themselves. And you also are advocating for yourself, but you're not getting it. So just keep focusing on yourself and nourishing that love, because after that, everything else kind of falls in place because you know what your worth is and you know what you deserve.
Thank you, Carrie. Same for you, Brittany.
I think my final thoughts are just the fact that the three of us, like, we did not know each other before this. And I don't know, I mean, we've never talked about this before, but like, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know these women. And they, you know, I'm in the process of transitioning my business kind of away from being identified as nutrition. And I was like, oh my gosh, like they paired me with a registered dietitian and a personal chef. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to fit in. Like, what? And it's now reflecting on that and thinking about the story that I started to tell in myself in my head, like, oh my gosh. And then seeing how connected we really are and how beautiful this connection is like growing and what we have to offer this as our panel. I'm just really excited, and it just reinforces that concept of like the stories that you can make up in your head, and it's not always real. So you have to kind of, be brave and try something new, right? Because that's what this is all about. I was trying something new. I'm getting put in a group with women I don't know. That was fear speaking to me. So just understanding that that's what it was and identifying that, and it's a lesson. Everything's a lesson, and I love it.
Thank you both for coming on. I had so much fun talking to both of you and sharing everything. I hope everyone will join us at the conference, either online or in person, and we hope to share some more. So stay tuned to our social media, mine personally or the Food for Life, and we will share more with you. Now, I would like to say, make sure you guys tune in next week. We have some really cool guests coming up. And if you want to know more, go to our Food for Life TV Instagram and you can find out more.